Hi everybody. I just got back from my annual spring bear hunt. I harvested a nice black bear, and in this video I'm going to show you how I process the hide and the meat. I'm going to go over some things that I think a lot of people don't know about bear hunting. And I think it's important people know because this hunt, more than others, really gets a bad rap and people really seem to just dislike it. So give this a watch and maybe you'll come away with a little bit of a better understanding and maybe a little better view on it. Enjoy. This is the mature boar I killed this year. I'm not going to show anything graphic, but if you can sit through this, you'll see how the process is a lot cleaner than a lot of people who haven't experienced it might think. After all, it's just meat. Alright, so we got it all cut in half. I just cut the spine. If you come in here a little closer, Tristan, I'll show you. You can see how beautiful this meat is. Coming closer, buddy. Show this. Looks almost like a ribeye. That's where a ribeye would be on a beef. Nice fat in there. Okay, back it up, Tristan. This is the way we do it. I got some ice blocks in here to keep it up off the ground, and we just finish our cut and she goes right into the cooler. Just like that. Come on, you can move it. 1 inch at a time. Look at me. Do you want some help?
Yes, please.
All right. Your hunt isn't over until your meat is clean and cool. All right, so I'm going to show you how I process my bear meat. A lot of it is going to stay in the freezer right now because for the purpose of this video, I only have time to show you 1/4. And I'm not going to lie to you, often I bring my meat to my butcher. I know a great butcher. I love seeing him. The smokies and smoked goods he make are a level above mine, many levels above mine. So there's no shame in that. A lot of people, you know, they try to avoid it, but it's a good relationship to have. A good butcher is worth his weight in gold. Alright, this is the piece I'm going to be showing you how I process. It's the hind quarter on a bear. It's my favorite because I get to smoke a ham. This is the ham. This H-bone is a nice line to give you a bearing on where the joint is, where you want to split the ham from the rest of it, or at least from where I do it. Cut that in there, and then you can see there's a little ball right in there. And when the butchers do this, they have a saw, and they cut that line, and if they do it perfect, a small portion of that ball comes off. They actually call it, I think, a butcher's loonie or a butcher's penny. I don't have the saw to do that, so I have to rely on just a knife and the right line. She's still a little bit frozen in the center, exactly how I like it. There's faster ways to do this and better pieces of equipment, but I am a firm believer that you should be able to do it with nothing but a good fixed blade knife, because there are times when you're in the bush and you got to take these things apart and you don't have access to these things. So that ball is starting to come apart there. Poke it in the right places and things start to come apart. There's a little string that connects it. You cut that. It's amazing how easy some of these critters come apart, even the big ones. If you just make a couple cuts in the right spot. right there. I've got this nice ham. If this was a fall bear, this and this and this would have an inch of fat on it. And when it hangs, it would just drip clear oil. And I'll explain more about how valuable and useful that oil is later. But the spring bears, we don't get that. We get a little bit of fat. I'm going to clean these up, but that's how you break it down. And you can see how that's a major connection of a large animal taken apart with nothing but a simple knife. I mean, I've taken them apart smoother. I've had it take longer, but that's pretty typical. If you cut them in the right spots, they come apart pretty nicely. Same sort of thing. I don't know if you can see it in there, but you can sort of see the shine of that ball and the moving. Sometimes when you're doing this, if you're having a hard time locating that, just grab it and give it a wiggle. It exposes itself pretty quickly. And then really, you just get that knife in there and you cut the connecting tissue around it. And it really starts to come apart pretty reasonably. There's that string again that connects it. Like I said, there's faster ways to do this, but I like to just work in and around it. Cutting the little bits of important connecting tissue, because when they're no longer there, everything tends to come apart. So there's that knee bone, that knee joint. And this is my ham. I'm going to trim it up a little bit more. But that's the section of the leg I'm going to be smoking. Alright, so when I do my bacons and hams, I put them in a wet brine with enough salt to float an egg. The ratio typically I find right around 7 cups per 5 gallons of water. That's handy if you're doing a bigger batch and you're using a huge cooler. For this smaller batch, I've just got 2 gallons of water in this little cooler. Okay. Takes a little bit of time. I'm going to go and grab some eggs. Okay, so I've given that some time. I've been stirring it. It's probably taken 10 minutes. I find if you're doing a really big batch with a lot of water, it does take longer. And now I'm going to add the eggs to see where we're at. That ratio of 7 cups to a 5-gallon bucket I was talking about really is kind of a starting point. So here we go. Oh, and one other important thing is when someone says enough salt to float an egg, I like to think that they should be saying enough salt to float one egg out of a bunch, because eggs are all different. I'll put a bunch of eggs in, and then I'm happy when one is floating. We got one that's just barely floating. That one's not quite floating, it's just off the bottom. I don't know if you can see that. I'll try to keep these where you can see them here. And we've got a second one that's floating. So we've got, you can see here, this guy here is floating, that's off the bottom, see it rising. That one's floating. And this third one even is floating. And this fourth one is not floating at all. So I'm actually going to add a little bit of water just to try to get it to where we've floated one egg. Those 3 are still floating. 2 are floating. Okay, I'm happy with that. 3 of them are submerged. 1 is floating really good. That's the ratio that I like. And it seems like an odd way to measure, but you know, I heard it from a real old guy about how that's the way they did it when they were kids, and I just like the old things. So I'm gonna add more meat. So ham's going in there. So I'll add some chopsticks. I put where things are contacting a lot just so the water can get around. And then a good weight that I use that the salt water doesn't hurt and you can wash and reuse a ton of times is just old coffee mugs. You can fill them with water. They work well. Some guys use bricks, but either way, I'm going to leave this in here overnight. All right, quick change of plans. I was just going to do that ham, but I was sitting down with everything in the salt bath and decided, you know, I might as well do the bacon as well. Really lean, but there's our bear bacon. All right, so the slab of bacon goes in the same brine as my ham overnight. All right, while that sits in a salt bath, I'd like to talk to you about a couple things about bear hunting. The first one of my favorite parts, is the fat. The bear fat is extremely high nutrient density. And the way that you know that, and I had it explained to me once years ago by an old native guy, is that the way that the bear hibernates and is able to hibernate in a way that most other mammals would not be able to. The reason they can is the fat stores and how nutrient dense they are. And the oil is phenomenal. You can render it down. Lots of times when we render it, we'll put it in ice cube trays, let it get hard. You just put it in a bag with some salt. And if you want to fry anything, you just throw a cube on there, and it's a nice, clear, almost scentless, reasonably high smoke point oil to cook with. It's lovely. And lots of the places we hunt, the animals, it's a high population density. That's why hunters choose to hunt there, because there's a better chance of success. And on top of that, the animals typically have a hard time. It might not seem that way to people just seeing them in videos and Disney and National Geographic, but I harvest bears that are missing eyes and ears and legs almost ripped off. The bear that I'm working on right now that I'm going to show you, when I do the hide, he's got 2 scars below his eyes, claw marks straight down. I'm amazed he still has his eyes. When I do that hide here with you, I'm going to do a second one, an old hide I have. It's also scarred up. I'll show you. It's got clearly a bear claw set across his face. And these animals, I know we're taking a life. Lives are taken all the time. Everything has to eat, and in the end can become eaten. But these bears we're taking, they actually do make life slightly better for the rest of the population. So that's one good thing you should be able to take away from it. And the animals themselves that we're taking, it's trophy hunting to target the biggest, oldest male. Well, there's actually a lot that goes into that kind of thinking, you know? The old males often are past breeding age, but will prevent the younger breeding age males from breeding females, and that's not good for the population. So when we harvest the biggest and oldest, we're actually doing the population a service and increasing the odds of reproduction. And on top of that, we're harvesting the biggest one. So to feed your family, depending on how much you need, you have to kill the least. There's a lot that goes into it. You know, it's not trophy hunting. It can be, sure. I'm a trophy hunter. But at the end of the day, what would I be doing if I killed something, took its life, and then left those pieces, you know? Everything's used. People look at me and they say, yeah, those are trophies. That's a trophy that you took. Well, the way I look at it, that's a shrine to something that gave its life to feed my family for a period of time. It's a major part of all of our lives, you know? So when people look at something on a wall and they just assume it's a trophy, I really don't think you understand the gravity of the relationship that most hunters have with their prey. There's a lot that goes into it, and it's for a lot of reasons. And what a better life to take than one that's lived naturally out in nature to its fullest. And to any of my coastal First Nation friends, don't worry, I do not target your coastal bears. I prefer a mountain bear, grass-fed, blueberry-fed. These bears are just, I feel they're better to eat. The coastal bears with their lavish seafood diets, they're more susceptible to big worms and things, so they're not preferred by me and many bear hunters. And then there's trichinosis. Another one that people get all, oh, it's got trichinosis, how can you eat it? There's other animals that are susceptible to trichinosis. Pork is a big one. What do you do to combat that? You cook it to 160. What do you do when you eat a bear to combat the risk of that? You cook it to 160. They say that pork you can freeze to minus 15 for 2-3 weeks and it kills trichinosis. They say that freezing is unreliable for game meat, but you can't commercially harvest or sell game meat. So when the big companies say that, I just don't think they've done any research on the matter because they're not really allowed to even deal with it. So on top of the cooking to 160, I freeze to between minus 20, minus 30, about double what the pork recommends. So I do the smoking, which you're going to see in this video, and then I freeze it as well. I'll show you a photo of my little temperature gauge in the freezer. I've got one freezer that goes that cold. It's handy. And yeah, that relieves all my concerns, and you know, it's a staple in my family. We eat it every day, even the young kids. Nobody's ever had an issue with any of these things. Bear hunting is often passed down generationally, and like any other harvest rooted in hard work and reward, these traditions quickly become ingrained in heritage and culture.